All right, we're back for yet another, a little bit earlier than usual, Christmas present for all of you. Because since I'm in Sweden and Rob's in the US, we celebrate Christmas Eve on the 24th, and you always a little bit behind, celebrated day after, right?
I'm always a little bit behind, just in all things in life, actually. So that makes
But
sense.
you do, but then you do the things well anyway, right?
I try. We're trying.
Like I saw your sous vide fajitas.
Yeah. Woo.
How'd they turn out?
They were amazing. I can't believe it. I like we said last time, you can't screw it up. So
Good.
I did it. I was looking for skirt steak, couldn't find it. I found flank steak, which is similar,
Yep.
and marinated that for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, with lime juice and a bunch of other stuff. The sous vide, for all you Celsius people, was at 132 degrees Fahrenheit. And
It's probably 52 Celsius, right?
I noticed
53.
I could put my hand in the water for brief
And
moments.
you're not dying, right?
It was no big deal. Yeah, exactly. And so I did it for 2 hours at that temperature. Also, I already had
So
someone
you
ask me.
probably could have put all the spices and lime juice, like all the marination, you could have done in the bag in the sous vide.
You
You don't
could
have to
have.
marinate it first. You could do that, in one
Yeah,
go if you want to.
you could. I'm just all right. So I'm always looking for recipes online and stuff like that. And so I looked on making fajitas with sous vide. And some of the stuff I read, though, was specifically said, like, I had to cut my flank steak in half and had two big pieces. So I had in
Hmm.
two different big Ziploc bags with all the marinade sauce, juice, and everything in there for a few hours. They were actually saying to take it out and put it in the fresh new bag. Some people do the vacuum sealing. They were at least this particular recipe was saying if you kept marinating it with the same stuff, it's possible it might get a sour taste or something to it. I don't know. So I didn't risk it, and I took it out and put it in new bags with no marinade in it at all. I mean, obviously there's a little leftover on the skin or whatever, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I was blown away. I mean, you pull that stuff out, I let it rest for a few minutes. I didn't do as much as they said. A lot of them are saying put it in the refrigerator for 10 minutes after you've cooked it for 2 hours. I'm
Oh,
like, what?
no.
I think it firms it up or something, and then you also get paper towels because get all the wetness off of that. Because the
Mhm.
next thing is you have to sear it, because it comes out and it doesn't look beautiful. It's kind of
No, I know.
it's light colored, and you're like, ugh. And so I didn't do it on the grill outside again. I just did a cast iron skillet, and I had put some butter in there, and so it's sizzling. And so just did a minute on each side, and God, let's see here. Let's get a picture of it. I was
And I think
blown.
it's really, I think the wiping off with paper towel is really good because otherwise you get all these juice in the skillet. So when you
Yes.
flip it over, the second side doesn't get like that proper. Oh, that's so good.
Wow. The coloration looks weird on the video here, but yes, it's
It
something
looks
like
like a
that.
red mess, but I
It
saw the
does.
picture online.
Yeah.
No, but it's wiping it off gets it drier and gives you a kind of a good kind of crispy edge to it.
Yes, we're making fajitas. We sous vide them for 2 hours at 132 degrees. Now we're searing them in a hot iron skillet, cast iron, high heat. We put a half stick of real butter in there. Gonna sear it.
Made all the difference.
Nice.
It just looks gorgeous. As soon as like you flipped over the first side, you're like, there's the color I'm looking for. It's beautiful. Um, I still need more experimentation. I had a house full of people. They were blown away. They couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
It,
I
it
don't want to.
reduces the time you got to be in the kitchen when you have guests because you just zip it up, wipe it off. While you wipe it off, you heat up the skillet, you put in there,
Right.
up, slice, eat. So what do you have on your fajitas?
Oh, what did I put on them, or what did I marinate?
Yeah.
Um,
No. What's there in addition to the meat? Sometimes meat is not.
You know, people could put onions, peppers, obviously cheese, sour cream, people throw in guacamole, all kinds of stuff, you know. I probably didn't have as many different extra things last night as I probably could have, as if we were.
I usually do the pickled onion. I think that's a really nice addition to, like, on top of it.
Yeah.
Because raw onions, I can, the day after I sweat.
Yeah.
and I smell like raw onions, so I try and stay away from that.
Yes, the wife doesn't like that.
No,
not so much.
Not so much.
That was a lot of fun, though. I'm glad, you know. So this is my second experimentation. I think I need to do some more work on the marinade part. You know, I'd watched a video where some guys, like, they're taking the meat. I totally spaced because I'd already watched it. They did like a bunch of little shallow cuts into the meat before putting it in the marinade, just to help.
So I'd say that depends on what kind of meat you have.
Okay.
Like a flank steak, which is really, it's not really thick, and it's at least has a good portion of fat in it.
Yeah.
You don't need that. When you do it in the sous vide, right, the fat will dissolve, and there will be pockets where the marination can get into.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be too worried. But if you did a big ass roast beef, right, which is probably 5% lean or something, 8% lean,
yeah,
you'd probably want to cut to get that juice from the marination to really trickle into it.
Right.
And that bastard would probably be in there for, you know, a good 12 hours.
Yeah, totally.
It's big and thick and yeah. So I'm dabbling with trying to get a vacuum sealer or not. So far I've done only Ziplocs or plastic bags, and it's been, you know, nothing but good result. But they're saying if you want to do bell peppers or like broccoli, and they're supposedly really good because you can get the right temperature all the way through. So you can get, like, you can do greens, but if you do greens, there's lots. They're not shaped like fillets, right?
Yeah. Right.
It's really hard to get them. Then you need the vacuum sealer.
Yes.
To get, because the water is only on the outside, right? I'd probably get a vacuum sealer.
There's some serious sous vide professionals out there on the interwebs.
Oh yeah, and none of them making any money at all, right?
What? Wait a second. I remember. Did you ever see that South Park episode years ago, where people who got famous on the internet went to some store, some place where they were like, "I'm here to get my check for being famous on the internet." And it was like every little, like the guy who did the history of dance on YouTube and like all the other things, they were all standing around waiting to get paid.
Waiting to collect.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't happen.
I think that's what Instagram is for now, right? All those online advertisers, like everyone who was an influencer early on, they were trying to make a buck, and all of a sudden we had all these link exchange programs happening.
Yes.
And then all the big ones, like, all right, if like YouTube is being one of them, right? And we hope that we will be kicked off of YouTube because we're so big.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or we're that controversial. I don't think we'll be that controversial.
We could try harder.
You and I are both very vanilla, right? Like if we lean really hard to the left, we'll get sprinkles on that ice cream. But
yes,
we're never going to be Alex Jones or PewDiePie, right?
Yeah, true. We could only hope, you know, have millions of followers and just people throwing money, people wanting to fashion places, putting new clothes on us, people.
I think that's different if you're PewDiePie or Alex Jones. I think PewDiePie has that all figured out, how to get shit for his attention. I feel Alex Jones, the only people who really worship him are people that I don't want to worship me.
You're probably right about that. Yeah.
Like,
how long has PewDiePie been doing this now?
No, a couple of years? 3?
It feels no, really?
No. Oh, you got to imagine, in 2007, Instagram wasn't around.
Right.
Like iPhones weren't around. Like, we got to remember, internet is young.
Ish.
A lot of shit has happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you met a kid who's 13 years old, when they were born, Teslas didn't exist.
Right. Right. That's true.
Like Elon was still trying to figure out PayPal.
Yeah.
In a garage somewhere.
Can you imagine trying to be an internet star over dial-up modems?
Oh yeah, that'd be hard as fuck.
I'm just streaming. I'm going to be in black and white with a low bit rate so that you get this.
But I had friends that I worked with when I in my first job, and this was like 2005, and he like one of the developers said, "No, I'm going to leave. I'm going to work for Google." I'm like, "Google? Yeah, that's a search engine. What are you going to do?" He's like, "No, I'm developing stuff that's going to blow, Microsoft out of the waters."
Right.
And apparently he was working on the first. Do you remember that? It was kind of a document creation, like a Wave, Google Wave, I think it was called.
Okay. Kind of sounds familiar.
So it was like a collaboration document, which was a mix between Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, but
Okay.
it was all online. So instead of saying, I'm going to write a Word document, you said, I'm creating a Wave on this topic. Like at the time we were doing a billing system, and me and my sidekick, genius guy, Stefan, shout out to Stefan Vidal. We tried it because we realized that sending documents back and forth was not the future.
Yeah.
And we were trying to be the future. Did not succeed about that. But we tried that Google Wave and trying to kind of build a living document, because we could, create simultaneously. At the time, back in 2000, when this must have been 5, 6.
Yeah.
There wasn't Office 365. There wasn't,
Right.
if you open the document, it was, this document is logged by Rob Tiffany, right?
Right. Yeah. Good point.
So
Yeah.
I don't think PewDiePie has been around that long. I give it tops 10 years. If he's been around for 10 years, he is pretty old in this space.
I was watching it with my daughter, I don't know, it was a couple of years ago when he decided to discover Minecraft and started playing Minecraft online, and like it was brand new to him. And it's like, what is this? Oh my God.
But I don't get it how he's so over the top.
Yeah.
And people love it.
Yeah.
People are like, this is amazing.
Right. Right. I don't know.
So I'm actually in his hometown right now.
What?
Yes, he's from Gothenburg.
Really?
Where I'm spending my Christmas. Yeah.
Wow. Tell us all about Gothenburg. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Göteborg. Göteborg. It's probably if you're local, but
Okay.
we shouldn't make fun of how people talk. So I say Göteborg.
Okay. I would never do that.
No. So I would say Gothenburg has a rivalry with Stockholm in any sport, any university, right? It's if Stockholm is 1.5 million, Gothenburg is probably 0.9 million. Gothenburg is the home of World's Best Bearings, SKF. Shout out to SKF, and you can find more about that in the links.
Ball bearings?
Yeah, ball bearings. Yep.
It's number one in ball bearings?
Oh yeah, no, SKF is probably world's best ball bearings, I would say.
That is something to be proud of. Wow.
And then we have Volvo.
Yeah.
Straight out of Gothenburg. Yep.
Straight out of Gothenburg.
Or just outside Gothenburg.
With Dr. Dre and the Volvo.
And then we have
Volvo's bouncing up and down.
I don't think Volvo's ever did that. I think they were kind of safe. Just
yeah.
I think your friend Dave got a brand new Volvo, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one did he get? I wonder.
The XC60, I think.
Okay. All right. I have a 2015 XC60. I've been really happy with it. It's good.
A stable car. I like it.
It
must be a very fitting for the American population. It's an SUV, but it's not big ass like a Suburban. It's kind of a compact SUV. You can, it would be the Corollas of the SUVs, right?
Well, there's probably some other ones that are farther down the food chain that are closer to the Corollas SUVs, but yeah.
But you see them everywhere, right?
Yeah. You know what? You did not used to see them everywhere, but I've definitely noticed them in the last several years. I'm seeing a lot more XC60s and XC90s on the road in the US. Volvo didn't used to be very popular here, but I've noticed.
So they must have. I think they did something when they did the XC90. They decided to become a premium brand.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, they had better leather. They had better equipment packages. That kind of the base package were more.
Yeah.
So if you got the like for like BMW or Audi, you had to kit them up with extra stuff. And like, oh, this is included in Volvo? Yeah.
Oh,
Huh.
wow.
And so they kind of got, I'm driving an XC90,
Yeah.
2019, super happy with it.
Yeah. They're good looking.
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah.
big.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I'm happy for the parking sensors I have, right?
do you have little tiny parking spots?
Oh yeah. So when we lived, like, moving home from Boston, right? Everything was bigger. Even Boston had smaller parking spaces than like San Diego. San Diego was easy peasy.
Yeah.
What like we rented a Yukon XL. Like, oh, parking should be a hard. Nope. Here we go. Swoop, just drive right in. We moved home and we brought our Mercedes SUV, and parking was like, oh my god, like especially the garage parking, which is big in Sweden.
Yeah.
Like if you go into a shopping mall and you want to park in the car, it's tight. And then we got an even bigger SUV, so we're stupid.
So like you sometimes may have to crawl out the back of the SUV and open the back hatch to get out because you're in so tight you can't open the doors.
Yeah, I have sunroofs, so that makes it a lot easier to stand up and jump. No, I can't because it's low roof as well, right?
Low roof, so you can't get out that. I've had to do that. I remember having a big SUV. It wasn't a Yukon, but it was a GMC when I was at Microsoft for one time. And I remember, sometimes your car gets a little dirty. I guess it was the summertime, and sometimes people will come right on your window. And and so my SUV is there, and I think it seemed out of place in the Microsoft parking garage, maybe. And they're like, who's this Texan who's up here in Redmond, Washington? And someone's like, and I'm like wedged in there. I couldn't even barely get out. I'm sure it was a Prius on either side of my SUV. And someone wrote, it's like, is your SUV fucking big enough? And I think they were pissed. I don't know.
Weren't you just like, right? Nope. And luckily, I pushed that button, and the 50 caliber machine gun that comes standard with most SUVs comes right out. You're good. You kind of need it in Seattle, right? In order to get through some of the neighborhoods, because there's no police that keeps it safe.
There's no police anymore. The police have been leaving here. So as soon as everything started melting down over the summer, and they did the Chaz and Chop, the autonomous zones and everything, and the riots every day. And then the city council and the mayor's like, we're going to defund the police and get them out of here. I think the police officers said, wow, I don't know when this is going to happen, but I can see the writing on the wall. And so many of them have been finding new jobs in other cities voluntarily. I just read recently, I think over 136 cops have left the Seattle Police Department in the last several months, going other cities, other states.
So the defund the police is kind of a stupid thing. I think the original idea, if I understood it correctly from some of the early people, they wanted to kind of refund the police, to redistribute the funding within the police, to make sure that they get adequate training, they get, enough resources to do their job properly. Yeah. Instead of doing what they've done since the 30s, but faster with more guns, which was not, kind of what they wanted. They wanted more modern criminality prevention activities. And there are tons of stuff that you can do that doesn't require to be a police. And I think we're looking now in Sweden to figure out, like, what are the things that we can do that doesn't require someone to be a police officer that we could do that would reduce criminality. Because the best crimes are those that never happen, right?
Yes.
So
that's why we've started the new pre-crime division. Maybe you saw the Minority Report. So what we need is those precog people that can see the future of a crime being committed before it happens.
Yeah, we just call them playgrounds, place where people can hang out, where there's, proper lighting, no drug dealers, gardens of youth. Where they can hang out and play in a band or be a DJ or, without having to, like, not everyone has a garage.
Right.
Like where you can let your kids, blow off some steam.
Yeah.
You got to figure that out somewhere else.
Yeah, true. So what else is going on in Gothenburg?
So Christmas is coming up, right? And food. So my wife's family, they're big on food. They love their food.
Yes.
And I love I have some specialties that I want to have on my Christmas table on our
Ah,
Yule board, right, which is a smorgasbord, but every once a year. So I'm already now making my thick ribs.
okay.
So they're being boiled right now to perfection, together with some carrots, onions,
Wow.
garlic, and tomorrow I'll do the glazing on them and let the glazing be on them overnight, and then at Christmas Eve when we're gonna have it, just in the oven, like getting that crunchy kind of crusty top on it.
That's awesome.
And I'm making my own caramel.
What?
Yeah, that's hot as fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Making-
130 degrees too, but
Okay.
Celsius.
Whoa, that's really hot.
Yes,
Yeah.
you don't want that on your fingers.
No, not so
And
much.
God forbid, if you get it on your fingers, don't put that in your mouth because it's even hot. It's hot. It's like napalm.
Wow.
It's hot and it stays hot. So
You know what they say? You know what they say about napalm? Napalm sticks to kids. So yeah.
I had a friend in the Boy Scouts. We were making mashed potatoes, and
Mhm.
we were making one of these, big casseroles. He was turning around, and he was going to flip some over to get some butter in there, and he shot off a big, like a snowball of mashed potatoes, and it landed on a guy's foot, and he had a sock on,
Yeah.
and he said, "You got to take that sock off. It's like napalm," because he was trying to scrape the mashed potato off the sock, but the sock was drenched in it, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
all that fat, all that starch,
Wow.
he burned his foot pretty bad.
Yikes. That's not good.
But the caramel is good. But if you take it up too high, I think mine got a little bit high on temperature.
Yeah.
They get hard. They get really hard.
Okay.
But if you don't take it over 125 degrees Celsius, that is, they become
Yes.
softish and they kind of run away.
Ah,
They kind of slowly becomes flattish, and you don't want that either. So it's
right.
a very delicate balance here in life.
Wow. You're just right on the edge. Good and bad. And wow.
Oh.
So I'm looking here. You sent me a list of topics.
Yeah, I always do.
I know. It's almost like I didn't even read them. Almost every time.
Well, last time was amazing because you said I was before the show. You're like, "Did you read the talks?" You're like, "No, but hey, we'll float it." And then I brought up, "So what's for dinner this week?" And you're like, "So I'm going to do this Texas rub, and I'm going to do this sous vide." Like a fucking TV shop commercial. I think
Yes.
you read it and you prepped it.
It seems like I was full of shit and totally did read it, but actually
Something like that.
it was the universe reaching out to me. Oh, okay. We've got do good in the world with small means.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Kiva.org, water.org. We know about those. Large means innovation for good. Santa Claus technology. I think we know what that's all about.
And
And
got to
then,
figure this man out.
yes, what are the elves anyway? Could it be the elves that we've seen like with Will Ferrell? Or is it elves like from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, we got to talk about that because there's some serious misconceptions here in language. We have two words.
Okay.
We don't elves like Elrond or whomever from Lord
Yeah.
of the Rings. They're elves,
Yeah.
and the other ones are called like little Santa Claus.
Yes.
Like
the little.
in Swedish folklore, we have tomtar, like garden gnomes,
Yeah.
like German garden gnomes. Similar to that. That's the same word we use for Santa Claus, just that he happens to be named Nicholas
Yes.
and comes every once in a year. And the others exist all around, I guess.
So you're saying that these elves are the same thing, same race, same whatever as Santa Claus?
Then we saw a cartoon yesterday with the kids, one of these Christmas movies, and they look more like the elves look more like gremlins or like small, like not gnomes. I'd say like little orch, like cute orch. I would say.
Wow, cute ones.
Well, or it's not that stepbrother, the Ulukai. It's the other one, the cute guy.
If I'm thinking of Santa Claus and then the elves are just like Santa, but is it like Mini-Me in Austin Powers.
Yes, something like that. Imagine thousands and thousands of mini Santa Clauses.
So the takeaway, kids, Austin Powers is Santa, actually. And Mini-Me.
Yes.
Mini-Me times millions, thousands, whatever. Those are the elves.
And would Santa Claus' wife then be that hot chick?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Shagadelic, baby.
Powers, he's not looking too good.
No, not so.
And Santa Claus is, he's got, I'm not going to rat on your beard, but, he's got this big beard and he's got his long dreadlocks and not too fit, right?
He's got it going on. Well,
so maybe his wife is Shagadelic. I don't know.
Maybe. Yes.
Never seen her.
Who did we have in Austin Powers? We had Elizabeth Hurley in the first one. We had Heather Graham in the second one. And I don't remember the third one. Goldmember. I'll have to watch that again. Shagadelic.
You name drop these like you know them by name. Like, oh yeah, it was Elizabeth. Yep. We had her.
Oh yeah. I remember. I remember. Well, it's because when I was younger, I dated both of them.
That makes sense.
So when I was younger in Hollywood, doing my thing before I retired and doing the simple, quiet life that I'm doing now, I was living the life, hanging out at the Roxy, it was crazy, people like me and, Robert Downey Jr. kind of living that less than zero life. Woo. I don't know how I made it.
So like 100 years ago, a lot of things that we didn't know could be explained by science was just, you believed in it.
Yeah.
It was more on the belief side. Santa Claus must become, creeping up on his like, no, wait. Nothing of that makes really sense, but there's something here that is important to know. But soon, like my 9-year-old, he's trying to explain things with technology. And he's like, Dad, Santa Claus, 24 time zones in a day, a lot of cities. And, if you travel in South Africa and Sweden, it's still the same time zone.
But long way. Woo.
But long way, right? So we've got to come up with some good ass technology to kind of justify Santa's travel behavior.
So what does he think that's going on? How's he doing it?
I think as a 9-year-old, he kind of deciphered that Santa could be someone else.
Yeah.
But he's not ready to kind of out and say I don't believe. He's still being Fox Mulder.
Yes.
Or I would say Dana Scully. Like, I want to believe. I don't believe, but I want to believe.
I'm all in with Mulder. I'm all in.
And the 6-year-old, he's just Santa's out there.
So is Santa using some kind of high-speed transportation? Maybe that your son's explaining with science.
I showed him the Hyperloop and explained how a vacuum tube could do it, and he's like, but it would have to be tunnels and starts and stops everywhere. This is setup time. Yep, that's true.
Yep,
that is one of the big things, right?
Right.
But maybe he's doing the Concorde, right, and doing the Phil Collins one.
Yes. Maybe
if you're traveling faster than the time hours, right? You're pretty good. You could probably do it.
And so the Concorde's flying everywhere. And is it starting and stopping, or is it just going? Does he jump out, go down the chimney, presents back up the chimney?
I think your boy Robert Downey Jr. would have to talk to his friend Tony Stark, right, and kind of figure that out, because he's also wearing red.
Yeah, like
and
Iron
always
Man.
Coming at night.
Maybe Santa was the original person who had the Iron Man suit,
or his dad,
or his
because wasn't Iron Man's dad one of these tech giants, right? That's how it all started, right?
That's right.
He wanted to impress his father.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's something there.
There is something there. Maybe that's where the whole idea came from. Santa has got an Iron Man suit. He can fly around. If he needs to blow up some people along the way, he can do that if he needs to. Or if your chimney has like a blockage in it and he has trouble getting down, he can just go, you know, and kind of blast his way through.
I would appreciate if you did that from the inside and out and not from the outside and in, just because I happen to know who's going to, you know, wipe up that mess.
Yes, that's true. That could be a problem.
But
Yeah.
I don't think Iron Man would think twice of, can I help? Can I use technology? I should do it.
Yeah. Remember, it's shoot first, ask questions later with Tony
Yeah, 'cause
Stark.
you don't, yes, and then crack jokes afterwards. That's Spider-Man, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Or one time he went down the wrong chimney for Steve Rogers' house, and all of a sudden he's having like a civil war with Captain America right there in the living room, right by the tree, the presidents, and it's, you know, and shields and adamantium or whatever it is. I don't know. I might have my
The
movies
hammer,
mixed up.
that's Thor.
Thor.
That's my god.
Yes. Yes.
You know we have a day named after him, right?
No. Really?
Thursday. Thor's Day.
Thor's Day.
In Sweden, it's Torsdag. No,
Torsdag.
I'm
like serious? That's what it means?
yeah. Yes.
Oh my God, this changes my whole life.
Wednesday is his dad's day. It's Odin's day. It's not Wednesday. It's Onsdag. Odin's.
Oh, I'm going to tell my kids this. Wednesday is Odin's day. Thursday is Thor's day.
And you know the goddess of war, Freya?
No, I don't know her.
Well, she's the goddess of fertility, perhaps?
Maybe.
Yeah. Those gods are long gone dead. That's Friday, right? Makes sense what you do on Fridays, right?
Right.
After thunder comes sunshine.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. But what did you think about Thor in the last movie where he was fat? In was it Infinity War or whatever the last one was? You know,
I liked it. No, it's kind of.
He was drinking a lot of beer. He was.
Because that.
I remember he's not that pretty. And he's hanging out in Norway, playing Xbox.
I like, makes them more human in a way, right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
And it's a little bit like that we have it in the, like, I read the original Marvel comics.
Yeah.
And Thor isn't, almighty good looking. He's almighty strong. He's a god. But,
yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
Like, he's not the pretty. There are other gods who are the pretty. I think it's Heimdall who's the pretty god.
But in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we got a good-looking guy to play Thor, Hemsworth.
Yeah.
So, he's looking good. Now, hey, actually, speaking of Thor, I noticed that people in Europe don't say th, they say t. So is it Tor?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's called Torsdag. Tor. Torsdag Day.
Right.
Torsday.
Okay. Yes. Because I would like.
And then you mispronounced it and it become Thursday, right?
Yeah. Well, America screws up everything. We mispronounce stuff and it's just. But then we reseed the planet with movies, and then everybody starts to think that that's how you're supposed to say it.
Well, even movies, but you can say, well, you can just Google it, right?
Yeah.
No. We're asking an American company what the name of that god would be. And, dude, there's a spelling error here coming out of Sweden, very frequent. I'm just going to correct them.
Exactly. There's like a handful of people in some country way far north. It's a typo.
So I read how Google actually used how people search to learn how people need to spell.
Yeah.
I wonder if they could teach the people how to spell wrong by auto-correcting things. A double S becomes a single S.
Yeah, I can see
Google
that.
And all through they just push through a different way of spelling of Thor. So every time you write Thor, I know it's Thor. Stupid.
Right.
We own Hollywood, and Hollywood owns Chris, and Chris was Thor, and he said TH.
Yeah, because we were listening to you guys in Sweden saying Tor when that was like some web browser for the dark web. And so we're like, yeah.
Oh yeah, we can't be associated with that, but you can pay in Bitcoins, please.
Right. Now, how about the idea? What did you think about, back to the hammer when at the very end of the movie, all of a sudden, Captain America was able to hold the hammer. Do you remember that?
Yep. So it's not that
it had to do with you had to be of good character, righteous.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why Loki can take it.
Right. That's for sure. Hey, I saw the
He's
Loki.
A god.
I heard Loki's getting his own spin-off TV show or movie or something.
I think it's a TV show, right?
Yes. I love Loki. Cool. He's my favorite kind of evil. Kind of a smart-ass, funny evil.
The Loki got a lot of attention in the Lego Marvel universe.
Really?
Like he's a lot more present there than he is in the Marvel movies, I would say.
Really?
Yeah.
Legos. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot who. There's somebody else that was going to be with Loki. I saw some previews for this new show. Anyway, it looks cool. I'm totally down with that. But yes, it was crazy seeing Steve Rogers holding the hammer. It's like, oh.
So in the original show, Thor has multiple weapons, I believe. He's got a pair of big-ass, badass swords, if I don't remember it wrong. And, if you read on the fan pages, people are like, so when are the swords coming out? Like, those are badass. Like, the hammer, yeah, cool. But can you really hit someone with a hammer? It's not the fastest thing in the world. The thunder, like, bring down lightning. Yeah, cool.
That's cool.
Nobody's faster than lightning, right? But swords are,
Swords are pretty cool.
We kind of like this sword, yeah.
Maybe there'll be a new backstory where at an earlier time in his life, he was transported to Japan and he has some insane katana. And
these are more of the brutal style, like Tekken sized.
Like the big giant.
Oversized, to the point where Chris needs to up his upper body strength in order to
even lift it. I can't hold this sword. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Wow. It makes me.
I can't imagine sitting there like, all right, so what are we doing next? We've done Infinite War, we've done Civil War, we've fought aliens, we've fought ourselves, but we haven't brought in Godzilla. No, he's dead. No, Godzilla.
Godzilla.
It would really make it in the the Northeast Asian market.
Godzilla can come back at any time.
And he could, right?
Yeah.
Didn't Godzilla wasn't he back in Kong?
Yes. Yeah.
So he's been back.
I have to admit, at me growing up as a kid, Godzilla was one of my favorite monsters for sure.
King Kong was mine.
Yeah.
Out of the monster movies.
Yeah.
That was the one that.
Yeah, King Kong was pretty badass, no doubt about it.
So I was like, when Kong, that movie, was that also?
Which one?
No, the one named Kong.
Oh, is that Peter Jackson or is it?
Yes, Peter Jackson's. Yeah.
Yes, man,
when that
scene
trailer came out.
How about that scene where there's the two T-Rexes and Kong fighting? Oh my God, that was so badass. Was that the one when Kong grabbed its mouth and ripped its mouth jaws apart? That was so awesome. That was one of the best.
And I remember my first time I saw King Kong, which was probably the movie where he climbed up Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God,
yeah.
I got the chills when I saw that coming out.
Do you remember the one from the 70s that they did where he climbed up the World Trade Center? No. They actually built a robot Kong for that.
A robot Kong?
Yes.
In order just to record it? Huh.
It was real. Going up the World Trade Center, and
that feels a little bit like the early Star Wars kind of sci-fi stuff when they had a potato and a shoe hanging because they needed items.
Yes.
And some of them were left out there and others not.
Yes. Yeah. Good point. So what is this? Do you know much about this Kiva.org? What is that?
So Kiva.org is it's a webpage where you can donate money to different micro lending facilities.
Okay.
Remember, there was this guy. I think I'd say he's Bangladeshi, perhaps.
Okay.
No. He's one of Southeast Asian heritage, and he started doing micro lending because he realizes the problem for these poor people isn't that they don't have access to ideas or stuff to buy, but they don't have any cash to start. And we said this in the podcast before. Money makes money, right?
Yeah.
So they get loans of like $100 in order to buy a goat, but with the goat they get milk and they get
Yeah.
they can sell some milk and use some milk, and they can then use the goat to breed another goat. And if you have 5 goats, it's kind of self-sustaining.
Yeah.
And then, but they don't have that 5th goat. They only have 3. So they need another $200.
Yeah.
So they can have 5 goats. And if they have 5 goats, they can start selling goats.
Yeah.
And if you sell goats, you become, you change your life from $2 a day kind of to $5 a day, which is a huge difference.
Yeah.
But they don't have that money. But
Okay.
if we can lend them that money, they can afford to pay that back with interest. So Kiva.org is, I understand, it's a facilitator for these micro lending. So I give money to Kiva.org on a regular basis, regular, and I get to relend that money. So I've chosen to help the people in Guatemala and in Philippines, 2 countries I've been to many times at work, and it helps women. I've chosen, you can select if you're going to do education, smart agriculture, and different women, older people, younger people, kids to go to school or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just a fantastic way of letting your money help someone else over and over again.
Yeah.
And you can choose if you want to donate money to cover the SG&A, or if you just want to be a capital backer. For now, I'm just a capital backer. When I was in the US, donations was kind of tax deductible.
Yeah.
You could deduct a little bit more. I think it's one of those pretty cool stuff where nobody can help everyone out there.
Right.
But I was wondering, how many others are there out there like this? Because now in the COVID, we've had a lot of, like in Sweden, we focused a lot on the good news. Like 2 girls put together a Facebook group saying, anyone who can go to the grocery store for elder people, you get, $500, and you get a bag, and you get a list of the groceries they need. You spend an hour going to the grocery store and back, and give back all the change, and they have everything they need, because older people shouldn't go to the grocery store. And they got some 10,000 people in Sweden in almost every town showing up and say, well, I can help out.
That's great.
Like anyone. And then they realized like not all the older people were on Facebook groups, so they printed out kind of forms in regular paper, like, hey, put them in the mailbox and say, hey, if you need help, let us know. Text this number, and we'll send someone by. You can write the list, or you can tell them what you need. You can go pick it up. And I think this is just a fabulous way of people being nice, right?
Right. That's wonderful.
And I think there's more of those things that we should see. And we've also talked about, and you run the Moab Foundation, trying to use IoT to make the world a better place, right?
Right. Yes.
I mean, imagine the Water.org guys. They have some financial backing to go into that, right?
Absolutely.
But what are the small things in life that we can do to help out, make the world slightly better?
There was
interesting to know.
So some of my friends, Stephanie Atkinson, she's an analyst, like technology analyst in Texas, along with another tech analyst, Leonard Lee. Anyway, she started something called Elevate Our Kids that I'm helping out with. And so what that is, and I'm sure we're seeing this all over the world, when COVID came and everybody's kind of getting locked down, not everybody, and a lot of kids are going to school remotely now, and they're not in class in lots of parts of the world. And so all of a sudden you were faced with possibly 2 problems, maybe more. First problem is the kid needs a computer, kind of like what we're doing here, and they need connectivity like what we're doing here, because all over the world, school is being conducted in the exact same way that you and I are talking right now. All of a sudden you realize the inequities in the world and the inequities even within countries and within regions where, and I'll just make it clear for like where I'm at, you know, some cities, some school districts, I know this will sound awful, are wealthier than others. I know you think it's all the same or it's all equal, but it turns out it's not. And so there are some school districts where every kid has an iPad, or every kid's given a laptop or something like that, or a Chromebook. And so there's some districts where they at least in the US, they were kind of, in educators call it like a one-to-one program. And so I remember when it got started years ago, where it's like, let's get every kid. And, you know, because a lot of times in schools, they would either check out a laptop maybe for a while, or or in the old days, you'd go to the library and maybe all the computers were there or something like that. And so it's evolved over time. And so when the lockdown happened for us last March in the US, I remember the scrambling, and it's like, you know, because my wife's a school teacher, it was like, okay, kids, we don't really know totally what we're going to do, but take this laptop home with you, because they had that, at least in our school district, but not all, and go home, and then we're going to wing it and figure it out. And so, but not all school districts were able to give kids laptops or Chromebooks or whatever, tablets. And so that's an inequity there. And then even for the ones who did, then we started to realize not every home had internet connectivity, or fast internet connectivity, right? Broadband, whatever. Yeah. And so it was kind of a double-edged sword, you know, two problems to deal with. And so, so with Elevate Our Kids, we focus primarily on the computer part, the laptop. And so we've been fundraising, and we've been to get laptops. And it's been an interesting learning experience too. At first you're like, well, gosh, there's so many used computers out there that we could get and clean them up and whatever. But then we were told, no, they don't want to mess with used computers. They're worried about viruses or old data, or I don't know. There's a lot of maybe liability or something like that. So trying to get new laptops, of course, on the one end of the spectrum, there's the MacBook Pro, which is never going to be given to kids because it's too expensive. And on the other end, you have like Chromebooks, let's say. And so, and then in between, you have all these Windows laptops from various vendors. And so trying to find laptops that are cheap enough, that don't suck, because you've seen really cheap laptops and you get what you pay for. Sometimes they're total crap. And so so trying to source laptops, and so we've been working with different intermediaries, distributors, to get laptops, different school districts.
Are this high school kids or like
all of them?
Yep. Because I can imagine that, like, if you're in first grade, you'd be good with a $250 Chromebook.
Yeah.
You'd be okay at least.
Yeah.
But if you're in high school, you probably need a little bit more GPU, kind of like you're doing a little bit more math. You want to, you know,
maybe
there's
so.
different things.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, I totally get where you're coming from. And you think about kids going on to university needing even more power. I think the bar has gotten lower. And so it's like, we're just happy to get anything to these kids. So some school districts, you know, most of them are using Windows, and a lot of school districts use Office 365, you know, and the reason, part of that was when I was at Microsoft, I remember when we launched this initiative where we said, you know what, we're going to give Office 365 away for free to kids in school.
Educators and schools.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of school districts went, yeah, free. We're all in. And
free is not free.
Yeah, true.
Free means you need a PC, right? That runs Windows.
Yeah,
and
right.
That's maybe it's a $400 minimum a piece.
But you'd be surprised. We're finding $250, $200.
Oh, $250? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're not great.
No, but they don't have to be great.
It's like a Celeron processor or whatever, you know.
Well, you gotta remember, if you're writing documents and you're doing, you know, a couple of tests, you know, Mentimeter or whatever, Kahoot or whatever tool of choice you have to engage with the audience, and if you don't do Teams, if you're on like Zoom or any of the lightweight Blue Jeans from Verizon, I think you're good. It's not that hard.
You're right. So
you don't need storage because you could store it all in the cloud.
So there's a bunch of other school districts though that have adopted Google Classroom, which is an entire learning management system. And so I'd say there's Office 365 schools and custom learning management systems, and there's Google Classroom schools. And you're right, a lot of them are using Chromebooks, and those are cheaper. And they're made to
what's a Chromebook in the US? How much is a Chromebook in the US?
I've seen it for, 150, 200, 250. It just depends. Yeah.
But then all the way up, right?
Yeah. And for us, we've been struggling to try to get stuff that's under that $200 mark. And so like lots of things in life, economics is the biggest thing. And so it's like we need because the kids need to be able to either have Zoom or Teams or something like that, whatever, to connect, watch YouTube videos, whatever it is, that kind of thing. And so there's that half of the equation. Here, let me show you something real quick, and I'll go over here. In fact, I'll make the video today, actually. So this really intrigues me. You probably saw.
Oh, it's the new Raspberry Pi.
Yes. So you probably saw this in the news a while ago, where they took the Raspberry Pi 4, which has 4 gig of RAM. They sped up the quad core CPU, and they put the whole thing inside a keyboard. So instead of having the little Raspberry Pi, little credit card.
So you would use the TV as your.
You could use a TV or just a computer monitor. This kind of shows you the ports that are in the back of the keyboard. But when thinking about cost in mind, I was like, well, how do we keep getting the cost down lower? Is this Raspberry Pi 400 keyboard thing powerful enough to do Zoom and Teams and Google Docs, Google Sheets, the web versions of Word and Excel and Office 365?
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to do a whole video walking through all of that to show whether or not that's possible. Because if it is, and I think it might be, this is a great tool for, it's like $70 for this thing. And so that's pretty low cost.
But then but you would need a monitor. You would assume then that there's a TV that they can use at home.
Yeah, something like that. And you're right. We have to figure that out.
And it doesn't come with a webcam, I guess.
No, that's a good point. Those are all things we have to piece together. And no doubt about it, you may find that once you add all those things together, you're still at the same cost of a laptop. You never know.
And you can't be the only one scrambling this together, right? There's going to be, I can only imagine that there are people in Germany having the same
absolutely.
situation.
Absolutely.
UK, like everywhere where there's been people being sent home, right?
Yeah. And so there's that connectivity thing. And so our group has been working with, T-Mobile in the US about 6 months ago or longer started a deal, I don't know if it was called Project 10 Million, which was to get connectivity, whether that's fixed wireless access or those little hockey puck access points. Because school districts are having to do that. So I know our school district, for parents who didn't have internet, that's what we had to do. It's like, here's a laptop and here is this Verizon or T-Mobile or AT&T puck to go in your house. But of course, as you know, depending on where you live, you may not have very good signal. But that's a deal. So I know T-Mobile's got so we're working with them. I saw Ericsson recently getting together with UNICEF for something similar about
connecting the unconnected schools, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the T-Mobile is interesting because they could actually use the MiFi routers. If they thought it through, they put a little kind of device analytics app on there, so they could collect all the data points on how their coverage is doing and where it's not working out.
Yeah, good point.
Because you could take that and you could give that to the radio planner saying, hey, these are the areas where we have subpar quality.
Right.
Like, what can we do? Like, when you do your twisting and turning, these are data points. People live here, they are not on T-Mobile because our coverage sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a campaign. If we put up a new side, we align the antenna, whatever it might be that they do.
Yeah,
there's 10 million, and it would give you coverage in a large place in the US.
That's true.
I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure there's many others.
And I think it's a very great thing that you're doing. I think some of that I wish there was given COVID has been now for 9 months, I would say.
Yeah.
we probably should kick it off saying like, all right, everyone else who's doing this, look, here's what we're doing. Because it's not for profit, it's for everyone to do, right?
Right.
Like sharing, like, hey, Germany, I heard you're doing lookups. Here's what we're thinking on bringing computers home.
Yeah.
I have another friend. His name is Ronnie Veslet, or friend, acquaintance, I would say. So he's a PE teacher, physical education,
Yeah.
and he's super into making sure the kids are moving. Like he's done so many great projects in Sweden, getting kids to move, like a double session in math, which is 60 minutes. He's like, it's killing your brain.
Right.
Like every 20 minutes, you got to do jumping jacks.
Yeah.
And then you sit down again, and you'll be like, Group A will be better than Group B. If Group A did jumping jacks and Group B focused really hard on the math problem.
Yeah.
And imagine if you have people who are somewhere on the spectrum of kind of, they need, some are more restless. They'll be better catered for, not in the focus one. So I think one of the things that happen when people go home is that they don't get PE. They don't take breaks. They don't play, football or whatever during breaks, or whatever they do during breaks between classes, right?
Right. Right.
Like you don't walk those 100 meters from one classroom to another. Just red button, green button. Hey, professor, I'm here again. Like you don't get that exercise, the daily exercise.
Yeah.
So I think that's another piece of that pie of how we make studying from home work.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could put together all of them in a big link library, like back in the old days. Like here's a circle of links. Like
yes.
Sub $200 computer
right.
with the following specs. Right.
Yeah.
Here's how to get activated at home. Like healthy snacks. What are the snacks that you like? Price were like carrots, not whatever's depending on where you are in the world. Right. You should look for certain types of grown here, grown now kind of vegetables that you can have a snack on, because snack is such an important stuff when you want to keep focused. Like here are 5 exercises. If you hit these every day, you do 5 push-ups, you do 5 jumping jacks, 5 lunges, 5 squats.
Yeah.
Like if you do that, like in a 45-minute video, or you sit in class, you do 5 lunges, you're good. Like halfway through that, everyone up 5 lunges.
Yeah.
Next is English literature. Like 5 squats. What? You'll be better off, right?
Right. Right. No, that makes so much sense. You're right. When the kids are, and we've lost, since all these kids are at home, they're not doing PE necessarily, and so
they get told, "Hey, go out and run the mile," and they go, "Red button, running."
I'm running. Can you? Exactly. Oh, I just got in my 20,000 steps for the day. Oh, woo. Yeah, that's crazy stuff. Yeah, those are such important things. So getting connectivity, this is, you've heard lots of leaders from big tech companies talking about how digital transformation has accelerated by different number of years because of this. But this whole education thing is a real visible example of that. It's like you were forced to digitally transform, maybe in a more primitive way than other loftier people think about when they think of high-tech companies, but just the fact that
we talked about restaurants last week, right? How they were forced to transform and pivot, and some managed and stayed alive, and others just succumbed. But I think education is right there now.
Yeah.
There's been so much. Like I remember when I was in university, which was like 1999 is when I enrolled, and I graduated in 2005. And we had an FTP directory where we could download some of the course material that the teacher had done himself as PDFs. We could print it in the computer halls. Not all of us had computers at home. We had big, labs where we have plenty of computers that we can access.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I went to a good technical university. When I came to University of Wisconsin, we had some kind of learning platform where some teachers put up some of the notes.
Okay.
Definitely not all teachers putting up all of the notes. I remember one teacher putting up videos of himself, doing, I think it was mechanics kind of problems.
Yeah.
That was really good because you could watch him go over and stop, go back. Right? And I'm not part of YouTube generation. Like kids growing up today, They want a tutorial on YouTube. They don't want instead of instructions. Like
Right.
when they unbox something, there's starter's manual. They're like, yeah, sure. Hey Siri, look up tutorial how to start my new, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's a very
That's a good point.
that was early days, but none of the teachers are really good at teaching the kids of the type of class teacher that they are. Like if you're an elementary grade teacher, you're not a digital savvy teacher. You're holding hands and understanding kids kind of person.
Yeah. Yes.
Like you are not. I made excellent slides with good speaker notes that I could hand out to those who weren't in class, and they would get my lecture.
Yeah. Well,
Those are few and far apart.
I mean, you're right. If they are, it's because they already were personally, maybe, or something. But even if you are, the dynamics of a classroom for younger kids is different. You spend, as a teacher, you spend so much of your time doing something I'll just generally call classroom management, which has nothing to do with teaching. It's kids are, back to your PE guy, who kids need to move and get, because there's a lot of kids, a lot of boys, let's just come out and say it, a lot of young boys with too much
Statistically, it has in the past been a lot of boys, yes.
Yes, they can't sit still. And so
No.
and so you're teaching, if you have 1 hour class and you're teaching and you're supposed, you're some percentage of that classroom, you're, hey, sit down, Johnny, hey, Tom, hey, Bobby.
And that's probably why the TED Talks are 20 minutes, like 15 to 20 minutes. It's just about what you can endure.
Yeah.
But when you have Jim, Jack, and Johnny and Jose at the front line,
yeah,
and that's not in a bar, that's in a classroom, right?
Right.
You want to make sure that they sit still and they don't move around, and that they're not teasing Annie and they're not throwing pens at each other, or
exactly
play Snake at their Nokia 3210 or whatever they're doing, right? Or Fortnite at their new
exactly
device, right? So I think you're right, but all that is gone now. If you do classroom from home, if John is not paying attention, at least he's not going to disrupt the others, right?
There has been this notion I've heard of just we've lost this kid and because we don't have that firm control. They're not in the room, they're at home, and I can only do so much as a teacher to grab Johnny and make him look at the camera.
But I think this is where like the people, shout out to the team at Mentimeter, menti.com. Good friend of mine, Johnny, founded that company, which is audience engagement.
Yeah.
Like if you have 30 people on a Zoom call, like everyone's just going to, but they're all mute and like, can this lady just speed up? Like I want to get on to my lunch, right? No.
Yeah.
But there you go. Like, what was the most important part of First World War? Like, what 5 countries were not involved? You get questions, you got to answer. It's audience engagement, right?
Right.
And that's a skill in itself. And so I listened to a podcast called, it's done by Harvard HBR, I think.
Okay.
What are they called now? It's called After Hours by HBR.
Okay.
And they so they're all professors teaching in different subjects, and said, so a refreshing part is to be a rookie again. Because you can dominate a lecture hall with 200 people listening to you, and you know exactly how to do. You can waltz in there 2 minutes before it starts with your Starbucks, and you can get it going. But when you're having a Zoom call, you've never done it before.
Right.
You don't know what it takes to keep them engaged. Like a 2-hour-long lecture is okay. It's a 10-minute break in between, and people come back and go, all right, second half now we're going to continue where we left off. We started off here, we got to this part before the break, and now we're going to take us all to the end, right?
Yeah.
2 hours on a Zoom call. You and I, we've done our fair share of those calls.
Yeah.
And we're ready to kind of.
We're just like, oh.
Yes, the pen to the head kind of trick is helpful at times. So I think we got to equip the teachers with the right kind of tools to make sure that Johnny, Jack, Annie, Susan, all of them are actually staying in there, paying attention, and acquiring the knowledge. because I know that I'm not people reading, like some people are book smart. They read books and like, oh, I got it. When I learn, I don't forget, but I need to learn, I need to discuss.
Yeah.
Listening to Zoom call would be the end for me. I need that 15-minute break afterwards.
Yeah.
Like in between,
Right.
like, hey, Rob, did I get it right that we're doing X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
And they go, yes, no, that's wrong. You got to
Right.
think like this. And then afterwards, you go to the next one. Hey, Annie, did I understand it right that this was the really starting point of the Second World? No, it started way early. Oh, yeah, true.
Right.
And then it starts, then it sticks. But if I don't get that feedback, I'm not learning. So I would be, smoked.
Yeah. Didn't they throw some guy out of a window from some castle or something to start World War I?
Is that the true story? I thought he got shot in Sarajevo.
I've even heard a word I never heard before in my life. It was called defenestation. I'm not even saying it right, but it basically means like thrown out a window, or I don't know, something like that.
Oh,
I'll have to go back, but yes, I thought some guy got thrown out a window and then the whole world plunged into war. Like 5 minutes later, people are shooting at each other in trenches in France.
No,
it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Hey,
we'll have to dig and find out for sure.
We got to, because I was told that it was Gabriel Princip, like a Bosnian Serb who shot the crown prince of Austria-Hungary. I think we're unionized at that time.
We're down there.
Something that like he shot them on, like there was like a parade, like the one you saw with the Swedish crown kings and his family, right? Something like that. And he just bounced down, like popped him, and that was the start of it. That's what I'm told. But history comes with lenses, right?
Yes. Also, we're opening ourselves up so badly here because our tens of thousands of listeners and viewers, they're going to get to this part and they're going to just hammer us in the comments, I'm sure. They're going to tell us.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, they're going to tell us what really happened.
I hope so. I have some war nerds on my Magnus Nordlöf. I'm talking about you. You crawl out from that rock where you're hiding from COVID and tell us what happened.
Exactly. So, we need to know.
Yeah.
We need to know for sure.
Because we know nothing about everything, right?
Pretty much. Yep. Exactly. So what are you going to do on Christmas Day or whatever?
Christmas Eve is the big Christmas thing, Eve. Right? So
yep.
We've had a little elf staying at our house.
Yep.
He mounted a door on the side of the chimney. So he's been doing some tricks all through December.
Okay.
So morning will start. If the kids behave, they get a little present from the elves that they can entertain themselves throughout the day. We'll have Christmas porridge, which is special porridge. We can talk about that after Christmas. The recipes will be online. And then at 3:00, we watch Donald Duck. It's part of the Christmas tradition.
Oh,
he's wishing everyone Merry Christmas. Yes.
At
3:00. It's unison across Sweden. This is what people are doing.
Donald Duck's always been an integral part of Swedish Christmas.
Oh, actually, him, Chip and Dale's, and Mickey Mouse.
Of course.
Everyone
knows that.
After that, that's an hour long. And back in the days, that was an hour-long cartoon in a row. It was unheard of in Sweden. But, Walt Disney delivered on Christmas Eve. So
thanks,
we still watch it. And then we'll have the Yule board, probably 4. And we'll eat until we're, we'll relocate to the sofas, bring our wine or whatever drink of choice. And then maybe Santa Claus will arrive and come and hand out some of the presents for the kids.
If the kids were good.
If the kids were good.
Yes. You don't want to get coal in your stocking. or ashes and switches or whatever it is in different places.
I'm not going to hold my breath to see if Santa's coming. Santa is old, so he's wrong to risk population. He seems to be seeing a lot of people. That's also a big COVID no.
Yeah.
He works in a factory with lots of elves. That also seems to be a no, right?
Maybe they're in a bubble.
Yeah.
Like hockey.
Let's see.
Like the NBA.
And what do you do on Christmas Day?
So, well, when the kids were much younger, obviously they're waking up really early. But like even Christmas Eve, we would like maybe open up one present, maybe go to church service that night. But then the next morning, yes, is different.
So you go to service on Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
Because those who go to service in Sweden would do it Christmas Day, early morning.
Okay.
Like 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. Like,
6 a.m. People like, oh yeah, I'm getting up. Yeah. Yeah. Sign me up for that.
I think that was a way for the church to keep people sober over Christmas. Because if you knew you had to show up,
you got to show up. You can't be wasted.
You would have some wine, but you'd be wasted.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, so there's that. And yes, when the kids were younger, they're getting up at 5 a.m. and like trying to wake you up. Get up, mom and dad, and you're like, oh god. But as they've gotten older, luckily they're sleeping longer. And you know how teenage kids, they sleep forever. So that's good for me and Kathy, absolutely. So yes, there's the Christmas tree, the presents, probably make a big breakfast or whatever to get started. Lots of coffee is required.
Yes.
Tearing open presents. Oh my God, that kind of thing. And then, yes, we've talked about before, we'll have lasagna, our big meal that day. And there'll be probably, I think there's football on TV, I think on Christmas Day. So there'll be some of that. I have to admit, did you happen to see the Saturday Night Live from this last Saturday night? They did.
No, it's not airing here.
So on YouTube, I think they put, if you remember Kristen Wiig, she used to be on the show, so she hosted it. They did the funniest skit for like Christmas morning where they're showing all the kids. They're like, yeah, I got the new, Lego Millennium Falcon, and I got all these cool things. And then they show Kristen Wiig, the mom, and she's in a bathrobe, and she goes, and I got a robe. And then they go back to the dad and the boy and the girl, all these new presents, and then they go back to her, and she goes, and I got a robe. And basically, and I'm gonna go make breakfast. But yeah, the takeaway was they just kept getting more and more presents, and mom just got a bathrobe, and that's all she got. And then right at the end, when you thought she was just gonna hang herself in depression, they're like, wait a second, there's a whole bunch more presents we forgot to open. And she's like, oh, finally, my presents. No, we got them for the dog. And so they had all these presents for the dog. And so, it was pretty funny, but
so what are you doing to prevent that to happen at your house, at the Tiffany's house?
Actually, I think it'd be funny if we
got
all
something for the dog.
Yeah, and if we just got Kathy a robe.
Working from home, who can have enough robes, right?
In fact, whatever presents that she has for her ready to go, maybe we should hide them and just have the one present, and it's a robe.
It's only funny if everyone saw the SNL sketch.
Yes. Otherwise, you're
especially if Kathy saw it. If Kathy didn't see it, it's going to be a horrible joke on her.
Yes, but luckily she saw it, so she would instantly see the humor. In fact, I'm going to guess based on people seeing that sales of bathrobes for women has skyrocketed in the last week as a Christmas present, probably for no other reason to just play a joke on mom.
Then I think you should do it. If she saw it, you should get a robe. Get her a nice robe.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. Or what if we get a bunch of cheap robes? And so there's all these gifts under the tree, and every package she opens up, it's another robe.
Oh, different dog. No, actually, it's for mom. It's for you.
Oh my gosh, that's good. You know what else I've been doing is, because I'm such a nerd, I've been writing code. So I've been updating the Moab digital platform. I was like, I'm going to take this holiday time. I'm trying to update it to .NET 5, which is insanely fast. I'd say, I'm trying to build something that's lightweight, efficient. It could be this edge device, could be in the cloud, but it's got to be low cost, super efficient, low memory, be used in all kinds of situations, portable. And so I'm obsessed, maybe too much, about making it super tight and efficient. Anyway, for all you nerds out there in programming language land, I'd say today the two fastest, most efficient languages out there that are high level that you could do easily-ish would be Golang from Google, which
From Google, right?
that's what they use to build all their web services, REST services, and everything for the whole platform is at Go. Kubernetes is written in Go. Everything. Go is kind of, it's easier to use, and yet it's compiles natively to a single executable, just like C++. So it's getting super popular. .NET was kind of lagging behind, and they started building this thing called .NET Core several years ago, which would be cross-platform, and it was way faster, and it could run everywhere, and it was open source, and so a lot of good things there. And so it was infinitely faster than .NET, and it was kind of rivaling Go. And anyway, they finally kind of tried to consolidate stuff with .NET 5, which just came out in November, and it's the next generation after .NET Core. And anyway, it's like 60% faster than the super fast .NET Core. And as a startup guy, I'd always say, when you have to build something yourself or with, go with something you know. And so I know C# and .NET. And so since I spent so much of my life in Microsoft land. So anyway, I'm updating Moab base system in .NET 5 to make it faster. I'm using the latest version of Postgres 13, I think, something like that. Documentation, other things, spending more time on how the digital twins actually work. But the goal is to, while I have this holiday time doing nothing but heads down, want to get this whole update complete so that I can get this code base out to people around the world in January is the plan, because I have people asking.
Wow.
I have people asking. I have people in South Africa
Well, your
asking.
marketing department ran ahead of the product team.
Yes.
Marketing ran away from product.
Yes, that's exactly what happened, and it's all my fault because I was doing some of that marketing, and so it's like I gotta get my act together and get this new stuff out there. I've got people in Australia, a lot of stuff I'd say related to agriculture. People want to use it,
right?
And some other things.
Well, why don't we talk about that next time and seeing
Okay.
how Moab could help agriculture around the world?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. That sounds good. All right then.
All right.
Well, Merry Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Have a great Christmas in Gothenburg. That sounds like fun.
I will, for sure. Christmas is always good.
Absolutely. A Volvo
And
under every tree.
Yes. A tree under every Volvo
Yeah, probably.
is probably better than a Volvo under every tree, right? Because then the tree fell on the car.
Good point.
But it's safe.
It's safer, though. You're fine.
Like, subscribe, listen to the old ones, and give us feedback.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. Merry Christmas. We're out.
Merry Christmas to all of you. Out.